Warning, this won't end well. I'm talking specifically about this W pattern and how, that's right, this is a trap. Is it time to sell in May and go away? Everybody thinks it's not time to sell in May and go away. So what could it be? That's right, trap o'clock. After we complete the W and we get to the peak of Mount Stupid, that's right, the peak of Mount Stupid or the Dunning-Kruger effect. That is when we're very confident. If we want to get competent, we have to go to the peak of Mount Stupid, go to the Valley of Despair, and then slowly rise and grind all the way up to our plateau of sustainability. How does that help us today? Look very closely. I showed it to you at the outset of the video. There's a W. We have a top, and the relative high completes the pattern. How much higher could we go? Hey, we could go to 565, 570. We talked about that. How much higher we go, I really don't know. But I think a lot of people today were saying this. That's it. I knew all along we were going to go up. Those stupid bears, no. Stupid salmons, right? That's exactly what people are saying. Drat, I guess I'll buy again. At least it's cheaper than last time. So is it time to sell in May and go away? Let me explain exactly what happened today. This first big move higher wasn't all that complicated. It's continuation from yesterday, and China State TV on tariff talks. U.S. is proactively reaching out to China. U.S. is clearly more anxious, and China has nothing to lose by engaging. They have an opportunity to pressure the USA. So that's what caused the first move up. Then we had earnings, and that was continuation from Microsoft and Meta. Man, these stocks kept going. So what happened after the morning into the open? Well, this is where Eli Lilly actually had its worst drop going back to 2008. Why? Hey, they were at the White House yesterday. Trump said he liked the stock, so pew, pew, pew. Right, time to get fired. That's right. And Mike Wilson, hey, Mike Wilson might always be right. He's usually pretty bearish. He says 56.50. Why? Why that area? It's probably a coincidence that I'm looking at 565, or basically the exact same area. What? A head and shoulders neckline. How do I remember? Because Mike Wilson called the 2022 bear market. He's seeing the same thing as I am, I think. I'm not trying to say I'm as smart as Mike, but hey, we're seeing the same analysis. I talked about this briefly yesterday, and this is where 2022 is really tracking here. We had 3 failed breakouts into 2021. We had 3 failed breakouts into 2024. Then we had 4 failed breakdowns into 2022. As of right now, we only have 1 failed breakdown. That means that we're only currently roughly about right here. Specifically, where this green box is pointing to, which means we get our first failed breakdown, we get a second failed breakdown. Look, it happens again. And we got massive volume. That's exactly what I'm pointing to here. The downtrend in volume, the climax, which means I think we're going to go lower. Right? If we go lower, we're going to print a lower low compared to this month. Oh boy, that's like a lot lower. Yes, it is. So we are bearish until we prove, last month it was bearish until proven otherwise. This month, it is still cautiously bearish. Bearish until we print a higher high, because a failed breakdown can be a bottoming pattern, but it requires an expansion to be valid. Let me qualify this. Let me get rid of these lines here. Let's go back to SPX, because this is the exact same thing I've been talking about. There's a reason why all these are highlighted, because it's the pattern I was watching in 2022, the exact same one that I'm looking for here. So a failed breakdown, that's every yellow box here. This pattern happens so frequently, but it is not going to be an expansion signal without going up. That's right. We can't go up a lot if we can't go up a little bit. So if we're currently doing this, going down, and then we get a failed breakdown, it doesn't mean we're going up. It means maybe we stop going down. If we want to go higher, you guessed it, we got to print that expansionary candle, or basically going up. So what happened into the rest of the day? Because look, we got to sell off into the close, right into the last 10 minutes at 350. That's right, 350. Why 350? Because that's the time to sell. That's when institutions are gearing up to get out. If we look here to a 1-day chart, a 10-minute chart, you can note that the last candle here, look, it's a power slam. We talked about the reason why yesterday, but it's basically that Meta and Microsoft had their deal. Had earnings. And then there was that Ukraine deal. So we saw the exact opposite of after hours today and into the close that we saw yesterday. It's a reversal, or what? It's a trap. That's right. It's a trap. Oh no, a trap. Yes, we're very familiar with traps. Into after hours and earnings, Apple is down by 2.5%. I'm going to ask you for a huge favor. If you could please consider smashing that thumbs up or subscribing to the channel, I would really, really appreciate that. If we look here to Amazon, down by 4.3% in after hours. Okay, nice. And then we got Block, pew, 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 right down by 16. Ouch. Atlassian down by 16%. Ouch. Here was the stocks today. The Mag 7 doing well. And pretty red over here, huh? Yeah. Here it is after hours. Very simple. We can also note that we're now back up here into neutral, which means what? Keep watching. You'll find out. If people are now no longer fearful and not greedy, are they maybe complacent? Probably. We'll see what the comment section says today because, man, yesterday it was a zinger. It's exactly what I was expecting. So bring it on. I read every comment and I like it. All right, daily. I don't know if we're 4 out of 4 bull anymore. Technically, we do have another higher low, another higher high, and closing above. This is where there might be some art. It's not necessarily science. So we now have 8 higher highs. We don't have an engulfing candle, though. So we've lost defense. Now we have to reset. So 8 higher highs and 1 times higher low. So what does that mean? Tomorrow, we need to defend the higher low. And if we gap down here, it's going to get lost, which means we're actually going sideways again in a candlestick pattern. I showed you the W. Now we're looking at the highs and lows. We have to also remember that there's a gap fill right here. So if we come down and fill the gap, TBD. Why? To be determined. I don't know what's going to happen. I wish I did. I wouldn't be making YouTube videos. I'd be secretly trading from my Cayman Islands account. So if we fill the gap and bounce, we're basically close green tomorrow. That's also going to be 2 candle closes back above the 50 DMA, or what? A potential trend change. If we look here to QQQ, it's basically the same thing. If it comes down for a gap fill, it's actually going to bounce on the 50 DMA. I would expect this to hold. I would also expect it to be a bearish pattern. Why? Still a head and shoulders, still more time on the chart. So here's where we look at the weekly. As long as we close above last week's high or basically above 551, 552, it would be very difficult for us to slide that much. Hey, this market can move. It can move bigly. So how much? Into next week, we would have to close, into today, we would have to close above 551.06, only 1 cent above last week's high for this to go from 3 out of 4 to 4 out of 4. So I'm going to go caution on the daily probably tomorrow. If I guess and I'm right, I'm going to go bullish on the weekly and cautiously bearish on the monthly. I walked you through all those notes. Now, I want you to think about what could happen for the rest of the week, right? We got through Eli Lilly, Amazon, Apple, but there's this DeepSeek. It is now the month of May. This could be released any time. I already talked about that yesterday. Not going to go through it now. What I want to focus on is non-farm payroll and unemployment. That comes out pre-market tomorrow. Why? Look, these lines are going up, but not enough. What does that mean? Here we're looking at the SCP from the Federal Reserve. This is basically Jerome Powell's numbers. If we look here, they are willing to tolerate 4.4 unemployment this year, 4.3 next year, 4.3 the year after. These numbers are not high enough for the Fed to actually blink. So what is he likely going to do next week? Probably nothing. So you're probably wondering, what is Jerome Powell going to do? I just told you. I don't think he's going to do anything. It doesn't mean he won't. But this R2 thing, man, this is real. I think that's going to be a sell. And on May 15th, we have even something else kicking in. Part of the reason why Jensen put a suit on, put a tie on, and he was not cool, man. He was a businessman. AI diffusion rules take effect on May 15th. Aims to prevent Chinese progress in AI. Limit exports of advanced chips in AI models. Basically, pew, pew, pew to NVIDIA. Anthropic took a shot at NVIDIA today, too, and they responded. Here's what they said. Anthropic blog post. Chip smuggling is a major threat. They're hiding processors and prosthetic baby bumps and packing GPUs alongside live lobsters. Man, the art of steal. These guys should be hired by some other narcos. NVIDIA says Anthropic is telling tall tales in its defense of U.S. AI chip restrictions on China. Anthropic, maintaining America's advantage through export controls, is essential for national security and economic prosperity. NVIDIA responds to Anthropic. China, while half of the world's AI researchers, has highly capable AI experts at every layer of the AI stack. America cannot manipulate regulators to capture victory in AI. Jensen, you sound pretty smart. Since we're focusing on levels and tuning out the noise, here they are. We made it up to the 50 DMA or R2, And now we're going to find out whether we close stuck in between, which is where we are right now, or if we make progress towards that 50 weekly moving average I've been talking about, or if we go nowhere. Please remember, in terms of making a plan, the goal is to avoid what you're going to regret more. Don't know how to make a plan? Here we go. Pause the video. Here's how to make a plan. Because things can get a little bit funky from here. Let me show you why. The UAE is already committed $1.4 trillion. So again, buy the hype, sell the news. This is already in the hype. Are we going to be selling it? Why does the UAE even matter? Because they're looking for curbs on their U.S. waste easing NVIDIA chips on the UAE as Trump plans visit. When is Trump going to the UAE? On May 15th, the same day that we have that NVIDIA AI diffusion. This is where, look how busy it is in May. Berkshire Hathaway, FOMC, but I'm focused on this, May 15th. That's in 2 weeks from today, next Thursday. If now we look forward to the rest of the month, oh boy, this is busy. This is even before I add in the economic data. So we got Berkshire, right? We got FOMC. We got an Australian election, Victory Day, 2 weeks after Trump said there's going to be a deal, Brazil, China, B7 in Canada, NVIDIA chip restrictions. She's going to visit Victory Day. That one should be checked off. Trump's going for his first foreign trip. And then we got 3 weeks after Trump, we got G to Japan, we got Italy, we got stuff no longer being available on stores in the US. And then maybe Trump goes over to Russia. And then for the rest of the year, let's go here. Into the rest of the year, oh boy, it gets even busier. Look, we got South Korean elections, G7 hosted by Canada, TikTok. That's right, June 19th. I have all the dates. Make sure you subscribe. You're not going to miss anything. July, we got lots of stuff going on too. Man, it's going to be a busy year. Why does all this stuff matter? Because I asked the robot, how likely are we going to get a deal with China in the month of May, as of today, the 1st? 25%. As of May 1st, it actually also incorporates current news. So here it talks about the no harm comment that I just showed you before, right? There's no harm because we're going to squeeze them. And here's the current things that are impacting them and the outlook. There's not likely going to be a chance for de-escalation. How about Europe? Because Trump said we're going to get a deal. It's going to be easy. He's 100% sure, but there's no rush. So what are the odds? 20 to 30%. Oh, that's not so good. No, it's not. So everyone has a plan. Everyone has a plan till they get punched in the mouth. And that's exactly what I'm talking about. So I feel like there's a lot of complacency because I think a lot of people think that, phew, thank God we just cooled off because the next big rally is right around the corner. Well, the rally already happened. And if I'm right, now they're at the top here, we're probably going to start seeing more comments like this, right? Screw it. Time to get all in. I knew it all along. So the notes into tomorrow, they're very simple. We got them right here. Pause the video if you need to. And then here's the resistance and support. I think I got through everything. So with that said, thank you very much for tuning in. I look forward to seeing you tomorrow.